welcome to my channel. My name is Jenny. I'm here today to give you my November TBR, and in case you didn't know, November is NonFiction November, a reading initiative, and I will link all the details about that down below if you haven't heard, but the initiative's goal is to encourage everyone to read at least one book of nonfiction or more nonfiction than you would normally read throughout the year. I am a big fan of nonfiction reading, and I read a lot during the year, but I thought for this installment of nonfiction November, I would go pretty much exclusively into nonfiction. So I'm going to start off with my nonfiction reading for November, and then I will tell you about my two fiction reads that I hope to get to as well. The first book I'm going to be reading is Birth Strike, The Hidden Fight Over Women's Work by Jenny Brown. This is actually focused completely on the United States as far as I know, but her premise in this book is what women's reproductive rights and how labor around birthing and rearing children is creating this divide, and how this kind of battle is not just really about birth control and abortion, reproductive rights being around religion or politics, but actually is much deeper than that and really is embedded in the economics of how our society is structured through capitalism. And this is an area that I'm really interested in, having been a stay-at-home mom for 9 years and understanding the idea of how when you rear your own children, you are not considered a part of the economy. You are seen as this kind of side product. So this book examines that from a US perspective, and I'm really interested in seeing Jenny Brown's take on labor. I talked about this one in my last TBR, and I'm still reading it. I will be reading it through November. The Golden Thread, How Fabric Changed History by Kassia St. Clair. And this book kind of jumps into different eras and takes an archaeological view about how the evolution of fabric intertwines with economics, society in general, and so far it's really interesting. I am leading a group read on the Artist Mother Network, which I will link below if you're interested in finding out more about, of Everything She Touches, The Life of Ruth Asawa by Marylin Chase. Ruth Asawa was born in the 1920s in California, and she is of Japanese descent, and this is the story of her life and her work. And she was interned during World War II along with thousands of other Japanese Americans, and went on to be a mother and an artist in her own right. And so this is just came out in 2021, I believe. It's a new biography about her life, so I'm very interested in learning more about her. And along with this book, I also took out from the library the sculpture of Ruth Asawa, Contours in the Air. So this is just some essays more focused on the work itself as far as I know, and I thought it would be a great companion to just look at two perspectives of her work, or multiple perspectives of her work throughout the month of November. I also took out this book, See Here Yoko, Bob Gruen and Jody Denberg for Yoko Ono. This is mostly a photographic essay book, so there isn't a lot of text in here. But this kind of chronicles Yoko's career, her work with John Lennon, her life as a mother, and Yoko is Japanese, and so I'm really excited to learn about these two Japanese artists. There's also a Yoko Ono exhibit at the Vancouver Art Gallery that's on right now, and I'm going to be going and seeing that for my birthday, so I'm very excited to see it, and I thought this would be a great accompaniment to seeing the exhibit in person to look at this book. My two audiobooks for November are going to be Spirit Run by Noe Alvarez. And this is a book about, it's a memoir, I believe, about Alvarez's decision to run across North America and do that in the spirit of raising awareness about Indigenous issues. And the other audiobook I hope to get to is The Barbizon by Paulina Bren. And this is a book about the women who lived at the Barbizon Hotel in New York. It was one of those hotels that had exclusively women professionals living in it, I believe during the 1950s. And so I'm interested to learn about that atmosphere in New York and these women who were living there. So hopefully I'll be able to get to both those audiobooks. I've decided to try to do more audiobooks in November. I've been doing one per month for the year so that I don't get behind on my podcasts, but I do want to try to reach my reading goal for the end of the year, so I thought upping my audiobooks would be a good way to do that. So that is what I'll be reading for nonfiction November. And then the two fiction books that I am going to be reading for November is To Finish Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I'm about 100 pages in now, and it's the last day of October, so obviously not going to get it done in October. And I'm going to be reading Oreo by Fran Ross. This book is the fourth out of the 5 books I was hoping to read this year for my 1970s project. My 1970s project is exploring literature written in the 1970s and kind of comparing and contrasting it and trying to discover what it is about the 1970s that I find so compelling. This is a satirical book, which makes me a little nervous because I do find sometimes books written with the intent of being humorous don't work for me, but I'm going to try to I hope this one does. And Oreo is the nickname of this young woman who lives with her grandparents in Philadelphia, and she's a mixed race woman. Her mother is Black and is an actress who is touring in the world, and her father is Jewish and he's not really around much, and so she goes on a quest to try to discover her father. And I think this is a coming of age story. It's also about identity and how identity is can be fluid for you from the inside, even though I think the whole point of being called Oreo is that the character is Black on the outside but feels kind of white on the inside. So I guess this is kind of playing with these ideas of identity. So yeah, very interested to see if I get along with this one. So that is what I will be reading for November. I anticipate having more reading time in November because the insanity of September and October has definitely started to quiet down for me. And I hope that if you're participating in Nonfiction November, you've picked out a great TBR. And I always love watching TBRs for Nonfiction November because it gives me lots of new ideas of nonfiction that I may want to read. So thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again soon with another video.